Okay, good morning, Rabbi Sai. We're continuing in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua Siman Kuf Lamed Beis Dinei Kedusha Uvalatzion. The laws of Kedushas, Dinei Kedushas Uvalatzion. Metargeminon Kedushas Uvalatzion. We are metargem the Kedusha of Uvalatzion. Says Mishna Berura, Metargeminon Kedei Sheyavinu Hakol, so that everyone understands it. Now, that alone tells you that this must be something very important, because we're not metargem anything else. Well, actually, maybe other things. What else are we metargem? We're not metargem. We're not even metargem Kriyas Shema. You know, we're not metargem Shemona Esrei, but we're metargem Uvalatzion. So then, therefore, I guess that's the hemshech. V'tzarich lizar by ma'oil amra b'kavana. Therefore, you have to be very careful to say it b'kavana. Meaning, for us, Targum's not going to help us, right? Because we don't know Targum. But we should understand from the fact that we're metargem the Kedushas Uvalatzion, how important it must be, therefore, to say it b'kavana. By the way, this is like a lesson in how to read the Mechaber. The Mechaber, it's not two different things. We're metargem it, and you need to be mechavein. You need to say it b'kavana. The fact that we're metargem it, so that everyone understands, shows us how important it is. Says the Mishnah Berura, b'kavana darminan b'gemara. The Gemara tells us, miyam shecharav ha'mikdash alma koya kedusha d'sidra. From the day the base of Mikdash was destroyed, the world stands on the kedusha of Uvalatzion. Rashi in Masechta Sotah explains that they were masaking it so that all of Klal Yisrael could be oisik in Torah at least a little bit every day. Because by saying it and the Targum, it's like being oisik b'Torah. And since the minhag is that everyone says it, Tamei and Amei Aretz, and there are two mitzvahs, Kedushas Hashem and Talmud Torah, it's very chaviv. It's interesting. I mean, it seems like there are a lot of things that there were koiveh so that people learn every day. For example, the psukim you say after Berachas HaTorah. For example, Ezehu Makaiman. For example, Rabbi Shmuel Omer. You know? But still, it seems like there's something specifically of note when it comes to the Targum, the Uvalatzion. What is the Maila? It seems like four things. Everyone is oisik in it, both Tamei Chacham and Amei Aretz. I guess three things. In other words, it's universally learned, and it's Talmud Torah, and it's Kiddush Hashem. Now, Ki shemachrizin davar, when you need to make an announcement, there's a campaign, there's a this, there's a that. You should announce it before the Shel Tzibur begins to say Ashrei. Not between Ashrei and Lam Natseach. Why? The Sma says the Seder HaKedusha begins right after the Kaddish, after Nefilas Apayim. So to speak, Seder Kedusha, in a way, begins with Ashrei. Now, what's the right way to say the Kedusha of Uvalatzion? Do you stand or do you sit? The Pri Megadim says in the name of the Eliyah Rabbah that if you're sitting, you should not stand. And if you're standing, remain standing. In other words, since it's Kedusha, you don't have to stand, but if you're already standing, remain standing. The Aruch HaShulchan says it's good to say it sitting. The Kaf HaChaim brings in the name of Maharchu is Reb Chaim Vital, that Mariv of Matzah Shabbos, you should say it sitting. Wow, that's very interesting. The Be'er Halacha brings from the Ritz Geos that Mariv Matzah Shabbos, you should say Kedusha the Sidra sitting. I don't do that. Now I should. In other words, I think most shuls, people, they're in a rush. They want to get out, so they feel that, it's easier. You can make a quicker move if you're already standing than if you're sitting, right? But it seems like the Chazon Ish would say V'ata Kadosh from V'ata Kadosh until Uli Omei Almaya, standing. And Reb Chaim Kempf explained that the Chazon Ish felt maybe it always has a din of Kedusha. Okay, so don't make announcements between Ashrei and Lam Natseach, and certainly v'chol shekain b'shasha omer ma'kol Ashrei. Certainly, while the call is saying Ashrei, oy say their kedusha, shetizbatel al-yidei ze kavanasan. This will be mavatel their kavana. Okay. The Ramah continues, v'ayin haga ula'inyan im hayachid oimra, regarding whether an individual says the uvalat tzion. After all, it might be a davar shabakdusha, right? And you can't say it. By the way, just like an amazing thing I saw on Shabbos, I was learning a sefer of the Chida. If for whatever reason a person has to daven b'yechidus, obviously they can't say Baruch Hu. But Baruch Hu comes from a brisa. There are a few brisas where Baruch Hu is mentioned. So the Chida says, if you're davening b'yechidus, get a hold of that brisa that says Rabbi Akiva went to a certain Makayim and he heard that Tzibor said Baruch Hu and the people responded Baruch Hashem Baruch Elohim Vad. Say that brisa because it's a way to, so to speak, be able to say Baruch Hu without having a minyan. Okay. In any event. Yeah? I never saw that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. But I saw in the Chida. Anyway, so now the question is, do you say uvalat tzion b'yechidas? Well, inyan im hayachid oimra dina kedin kedusha shabiyoytzer. It has a din of kedusha in yoytzer, that we do say it. V'ayin le'elsim nun tes. Kedusha shabatargum, the kedusha of targum yachid oimra, a yachid says it v'lo yishnayim, but not two. We'll see what this means. Don't say it out loud. Let us see the Mishnah Berura v'ayin le'elsim nun tes. The sham masik harama. There, the Ramah concludes, the Nespashet Haminag Loimer Af B'Yachid. The Ramah says in Siman Nun Tes that it's Nespashet Haminag to say the Kedusha of Yoitzer B'Yachidus. And there the Ramah says that someone who says Kedusha B'Yoitzer B'Yachid, since some say you should only say it at Tzibor, it's better to lane it. Okay, you know that? The minhag is that we say Kedusha of Yoitzer even without a minyan. But it's preferable, the Ramah says, to lane it. Legabe Kedusha de Sidra, the Mishnah Berura doesn't say it's better to lane the Kedusha de Sidra, b'yechidos. Why is that? Why, when it comes to the Kedusha of Yoitzer, is it preferable to lane it if you're davening b'yechidos, so that it doesn't look like you're saying a Dvarim Shel Kedusha without a minyan, and we don't have such a stipulation by Kedusha of uvalat tzion. Also, the Reb Chaim Kanievsky says we don't find in any of the poskim that to lane the Kedusha of uvalat tzion, but no reason is given what the distinction is. Okay? Now, however, the Mishnah Berura says, even though the minhag is to say it b'yechidus, mikol makom lecharchila tov yosel amar b'tzibur. Lecharchila, it's better to say it b'tzibur. V'alkein, imat tzibur his chilu loymar v'ata kadosh. If the tzibur began to say v'ata kadosh, v'hu loy amar adayin asher uvalat tzion, and you're lagging behind. Let's say the tzibur is up to uvalat tzion, and you're up to ashrei. Yesh loy la'amar imahim. You should say it with them. So I would wonder, I'm not up to Ashrei when they're up to Uvalat Tzion. I'm usually in middle of Ashrei when they're up to Uvalat Tzion, because I'm not so easy to say every word, or at least in the middle of Lam Natseach. I think probably the best thing would be to say the Kedusha of Uvalat Tzion with them, and then go back and say from Ashrei where you're up to. V'achakach yomer ashrei lam natseach. The Yisod B'Shar Shavada brings, really the whole tzibur should say it together. Therefore it's roi that the Shatz waits in this Kedusha until the tzibur finishes saying the psukim, and then he says the Kedusha b'koram. Says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, if you started Ashrei or Lam Natseach and they got up to Kadosh Kadosh, you stop, you say Kedusha the Sidra with the Tzibor, and then you go back to where you're up to. However, if you're middle of Psuke de Zimra, or a middle of Kriya Shema Berchaiseha, the Minchas Yitzchak says you do not interrupt, because Lamaisa, the minhag is not always to necessarily say it along with the tzibur. Okay. Then, V'gam hashnei psukim shekoidem v'ata kadosh, dahainu uvalat tzion v'ani zois brisi. In other words, if let's say you come late, and you didn't say Asher uvalat tzion, and the tzibur is saying the Kedusha the Sidra, you should say the Kedusha with Sidra with them, then say Ashrei, then say Lam Natseach, and then say Va'ata Uvalat Tzion and Va'ani Zois Brisi. In other words, all that's required for you to say with the tzibur are literally the psukim of Kadosh, 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 and Baruch Kavod Hashem M'Komai. You don't have to start with them, Uvalat Tzion Goyal, V'ata Va'ani Zois Brisi. That you'll say when you go back and you say Ashrei Lam Natseach.
And then what? Then you skip past it, or you say it again?
Then l'chayra you could skip past it and you go to what goes after that? Hashem Elokai Yisrael Shama Zos Yolam. Yeah, you could skip that passage. Then you just skip that passage. Okay, Sivkat on Daled. I'm doing Daled even though it's going on the next page because there's a big beer Allah that I want to see tomorrow. Look earlier. And the Kedusha of the Targum, a Yachid says it and not Shnayim. What does this mean? The Psuke HaKedusha Shabaloshna Kodesh Ne'amarim Dafka Barabim. The Psukim of Kedusha that are said in Hebrew are only said B'tzibor. Psuke HaKedusha Shabatargum, the Psukim of the Targum Ne'amarim Dafka B'Yachid, only an individual. Lefisha Koshu B'Lashon Targum, anything which is in Aramaic, Ein Loimar Oisabram. You don't say it publicly. Therefore, when you say Kedusha the Sidra publicly, then every individual says quietly the Targum of Kedusha, then it's not called B'tzibor. So the Targum you never say out loud. Whenever there's Targum, you say it quietly. That's why the Rama concludes, is what the Rama means, that you don't say it out loud. But if you're davening privately, you could say the Targum b'Koram as well. So I guess when the Rama says the Kedusha, the Targum, an individual says it, not two. What does it mean not two? Don't even say it with another guy. The Ber Heitev says in the word Shnayim, he says, Lefi shekoshu b'lashon targum ein la'amar barabim v'simanach shnayim mikra v'echad targum. When it comes to psukim, you could say b'shnayim. When it comes to targum, even two people is a problem. You shouldn't even say targum with two people, only one. Okay, we're going to hold it over here. We're going to start Sefer Chafetz Chaim.
Recording stopped.